Dear Cancer, something ended for you recently, or it is ending right now, and you have not quite decided if that is a tragedy or a relief. Maybe it was a financial arrangement. Maybe it was a property, a lease, a shared asset, something that felt permanent until it suddenly was not. If that is true for you, today's chart has an answer you did not expect. Because what looks like a closed door in your finances may actually be the exact door that opens something bigger. Stay with this, because by the end you will understand why today asks you to check a number before you agree to anything, and why the people around you might be more emotionally transparent than usual, whether you are ready for that or not. The bigger picture. Let us start with the biggest structural event shaping your year, because it is quietly active again. From the Western evolutionary perspective, Pluto continues its long transit through Aquarius, moving through the part of your chart connected to shared resources, debts, property, and deep financial transformation. Pluto does not do small changes. It does endings that turn out to be beginnings. If you have experienced a financial reckoning, a property shift, or the collapse of some arrangement recently, this is very likely tied to your personal Pluto cycle. The unsettling part is the ending itself. The part almost nobody expects is what is usually hiding just behind it. A solution or an opportunity that could not have existed without the collapse first clearing the ground. Layered on top of that long transformation is something faster and warmer. Mercury and Jupiter are meeting in Leo, activating your second house of resources, the part of your chart governing money, possessions, and self-worth. This is a growth signal. It tends to make people feel more confident naming their value, asking for a raise, setting a price, or finally saying what their time is actually worth. The risk hiding inside that confidence is optimism disguised as certainty. Jupiter expands, but it does not verify. That distinction becomes important later, so hold on to it. And then there is the moon, and here is where two traditions genuinely disagree, which is worth explaining rather than hiding. In Vedic, sidereal astrology, the moon sits in Virgo today, favoring social connection, structured comfort, and a mind that wants to organize before it relaxes. In Western tropical astrology, that same moon reads as being in Libra, moving through your fourth house of home and emotional foundation, stirring restlessness and a craving for balance in your domestic life. Same sky, two lenses, two slightly different emotional flavors. You may feel both today, a pull toward friends and organization early on, and a pull toward home and emotional recalibration later. That is not confusion. That is two accurate maps of the same territory. Love. Here is the emotional question worth sitting with today. If someone close to you has been warmer than usual, is that generosity or is it compensation for something unsaid? The Mercury-Jupiter meeting in your resource house does not just affect money, it affects how you express care, and Cancers under this influence often reach for grand gestures, a thoughtful gift, an expensive dinner, a promise that sounds bigger than the budget behind it. If you are partnered, watch for a subtle mismatch between what someone says and what they can actually sustain. A generous offer made today under this Leo influence can feel wonderful in the moment and uncomfortable in hindsight, especially if it puts financial pressure on the other person to match the gesture. That tension between wanting to prove love and needing to protect stability is exactly what this transit tests. The fourth house pull mentioned earlier, that Western Libra moon settling into your home sector, adds another layer. A craving for quiet closeness rather than performance. You may find that a simple evening at home says more than an expensive one out. If you are single, this influence tends to make you more magnetic in conversation, more willing to name what you actually want instead of settling for ambiguity. The Virgo-toned social energy from the Vedic reading supports reconnecting with old friends, and sometimes it is an old friend, not a stranger, who reveals unexpected potential today. Nobody is guaranteed to appear, But the emotional opening is real, and it favors people who speak plainly rather than those who perform. Career. What starts as a relationship question about generosity actually says something important about how you value your own effort at work. The same Mercury-Jupiter energy, asking you to name your worth in love, is asking you to name it professionally too. You may feel ready to propose a project, request different terms, or explain clearly what your time and skill are actually worth to a client or employer. This is a favorable window for that conversation, but Jupiter's expansive nature can make a deal sound better than it actually is on paper. Professionally, several of today's readings agree that the pace feels manageable, even satisfying. You are not being asked to push harder. You are being asked to represent yourself accurately, while the momentum is genuinely in your favor. That is a rare and useful combination, confidence paired with low pressure, and it will not last indefinitely. So if there is an ask you have been putting off, this window supports it. Money. This is where today's chart asks for real discipline, not because the energy is bad, but because it is persuasive. Mercury and Jupiter together in your money sector make everything feel more affordable than it is. A generous impulse, a nicer purchase, an agreement that sounds emotionally right, all of it can arrive dressed as good judgment when it is actually optimism wearing a receipt. Before you confirm any financial decision today, whether it is a gift, a negotiated rate, or a shared expense with a partner or friend, check the actual number. State your terms plainly instead of rounding them up emotionally. This matters even more given the long-term Pluto transformation still active in your chart. When Pluto is reshaping how you handle shared resources on a deep structural level, small daily choices about spending either reinforce old patterns or start building new ones. A grounded decision today is not just practical. It is part of a much bigger financial rebuilding already in motion. There is also a social dimension worth naming. If your instinct today is to spend generously on a friend or loved one, be mindful that your comfort with the expense might not be theirs. Keeping the financial playing field level protects the relationship more than the gesture does. Health. Here is the part that ties everything together, so pay attention. Every theme so far, the ending that became a beginning, the confidence that needs verifying, the generosity that needs boundaries, all of it comes down to a single question. Are you making decisions from grounded awareness or from emotional momentum? Your body will actually tell you the answer today if you listen to it. The Western tropical Libra moon moving through your fourth house tends to stir nervous, restless energy rather than calm. Several readings independently point to the same practical response: reduce stimulants, skip the extra caffeine, cut back on sugar, and choose steadier fuel instead, lean protein and whole grains rather than anything that spikes and crashes. This is not a minor wellness tip. It is directly connected to managing the emotional intensity this moon placement can bring into your home life. A body running on sugar and caffeine will experience today's restlessness more sharply than a body running on stable energy. If you feel pulled toward gatherings or crowds today, that is the Vedic Virgo moon social pull working in one direction, while the Libra placement pulls you toward quiet. You do not have to choose extremes. A shorter, calmer gathering, followed by an early night to recharge, honors both signals. Rest well, moderate rich or heavy food, and give your nervous system permission to settle rather than perform. Home and family. This is where the two lunar readings genuinely cooperate instead of competing. The Vedic Virgo moon favors reconnecting with old friends, catching up, organizing a small get-together, the kind of low-pressure socializing that leaves you satisfied rather than drained. Several astrologers note this is a good day to reach out to someone you have lost touch with. As the day moves forward, the Western Libra moon shifts that same social warmth inward, toward home and family specifically. Shared comfort becomes more important than shared activity. If earlier in the day you are the person organizing a gathering, Later in the day, you may simply want to be home, in a space that feels balanced rather than busy. That is not inconsistency. That is the natural arc of a moon moving from social curiosity toward domestic settling. Trust that shift instead of fighting it. Travel and spirit. If travel comes up today, whether it is a short outing or something further, the same underlying principle applies. Be respectful, be present, and do not let generosity or urgency push you into decisions you have not checked. New experiences are supported, but the wisest version of you moves through them attentively rather than impulsively. There is a quieter spiritual thread running underneath everything today, and it circles back to where we started. Pluto's long transformation through your resource sector is not only about money. It is about learning what actually holds value once the noise clears away. Ending, financial or otherwise, that felt like loss recently may in time reveal itself as clarity. That is the real shift. Not that something was taken from you, but that something false was finally removed so you could see what remains. Lucky signs. If you are looking for small daily anchors today, tradition suggests wearing white, a gentle, universally safe color choice associated with clarity and calm rather than any specific remedy requiring personal chart analysis. The window between 4 and 5 in the afternoon is highlighted as a particularly favorable stretch, good for conversations, decisions, or simply noticing what feels right. Warm, steady company tends to support you more than large crowds today, and grounding foods over sugary ones will keep your energy even through the evening. Tay's guidance. So here is where all of this actually lands. Today is not asking you to avoid generosity, avoid connection, or avoid spending. It is asking you to check the number, name the terms, and choose the version of comfort that still feels good tomorrow. That applies to money, to love, to the gathering you organize, and to the plate of food in front of you. Remember the ending we opened with, the one that felt uncertain. If something in your resources or your living situation has recently closed, Tay's steadier, more discerning energy is part of what helps you see the opportunity that was hidden inside it. You do not need certainty to move forward. You need clarity, plain terms, and a little patience with the parts of your life still rebuilding. That is more than enough for today.